We have a special guest for this feature. We had to drag him in here kicking and screaming because he really did not want to be in here.
And he's not a talker.
And he's not a talker. Yeah. No, not at all. Very shy, not good around people. I don't know what we're going to do with him on Friday because he's answering the phones from mid-morning.
Actually, he reminds me a little bit of me in that any question or topic that you bring up, he has a story to go along with it. He's not just going to say yes, no, green or blue. He's going to go and he's going to tell this great story.
But he's a lot younger than we are, so he shouldn't have a story for everything.
No, but he is opinionated. Yeah.
And that is our intro for Ryan Volkert. Let's turn his mic on so that he can talk to us. Ryan's our intern. Is this your second year or third year?
This is my third year. So I've been here 2014, I think was my first year. And I was here last year, and now I'm here again.
We love having you here because you are really, really talented. You fit in so easily here. And what's your area of expertise, Ryan?
I do kind of the promotion side of things, or production, sorry. Yeah. I'm a promotions assistant technically right now. But graphics that you see online, videos that you see going up, that's all coming through me.
You're also an expert on mac and cheese, which is why we have you here.
I think so.
Probably daily. Do you have it every day?
I have some type of pasta almost every day. Okay. I know it blows everybody out of the water.
Yes.
Like you can eat the same thing twice a day. I've had times yesterday. I had noodles with butter, garlic, and Parmesan cheese for lunch here, and then I went home and made it for dinner.
And there was a crisis last week because you had mac and cheese, boxed mac and cheese, but you forgot your milk.
I did.
And, you could have added water, but Peggy Sue had just a brilliant suggestion for you.
I'm like, I come running down the hall. I have the answer to your problem because we have those little half and halves that we keep for coffee and tea drinkers. So I'm like, just dump a few of those in there. Yep. Did it make a difference?
It worked perfectly.
Awesome.
No difference in the taste, really?
Not that I could tell. It might have been a little bit creamier.
I would say richer.
It was half and half. Yeah, it had a little bit more of a full flavor to it. But it was all around not prepared very well on my part. I did it in one of those little microwave bowls. I could eat it, but I don't know that I'd choose to.
So if money was not an object, because boxed mac and cheese can come in different price points. Yeah. So you have, sometimes you can get it for $4 or, that's for sometimes the generic brand. If you go for the Kraft, it can be a little more than that. Just the boxed. Kraft does one where you actually have the squeezed cheese. You've got Velveeta, and you've got, which you just introduced me to, and we're going to taste test this, you and I, because our Peggy Sue doesn't like mac and cheese. That's another story. We'll get to that in just a second. So then we have Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
When did you discover Cracker Barrel?
I would say about 2 to 3 months ago. I was walking through Meijer, and I saw that they had 4 types of Cracker Barrel mac and cheese, and the one that particularly caught my eye was the bacon cheddar.
Yeah, we're not tasting that one this morning.
It's okay. It's quite all right. Mac and cheese is good, period.
I wanted to go with the plain one, because if it's good there...
Yeah, then it should be good everywhere, right? Yeah. So I was walking through Meijer. I saw that they had a sale. It was like 2 boxes for $6, and it was a new one. I was like, well... I'll give it a go. We'll see how it is.
Whoa. 2 boxes for $6. So on sale, you're paying $3 per box. Regularly, it's $3.99 a box.
Really?
I just paid $3.99.
Well, to kind of give you a heads up, then I would check Walmart on Lima. They have it for $2.98 last I checked.
All right.
So it was $2.98 a box.
All right.
But yeah, I saw it on there in one of the center aisles. I figured I'd take it home and give it a go. I tried it, and I was like, man, this stuff is really good.
All right, so if price is not the issue, what boxed mac and cheese would you opt for?
Right now, I would honestly say the bacon and cheddar Cracker Barrel. Okay. I usually do Meijer's Spiral mac and cheese. Growing up, that was a favorite in the household. We would get the Kraft occasionally, but the Meijer generic brand mac and cheese, the Spirals, was kind of like our family's thing. We would get it because it was cheaper, and we thought it tasted better.
Than the Kraft?
Than the Kraft ones.
Really?
As I've gotten older, I started to like the Kraft a little bit more. And I always say to this day, and I will still stand by it, that shaped mac and cheese tastes different than your normal elbow noodle mac and cheese.
So any of the special Star Wars or anything
Star Wars,
else?
SpongeBob, Hello Kitty, I don't know.
So this is in your mac and cheese, not on your underwear?
Correct. That's correct.
Only you could get away with asking that, the mama of 7, to a grown man. He is a grown man. He is somebody's son, but he's a grown man.
Yeah.
So if it's shaped, it has a better flavor.
I don't know what it is.
It has
I had
a
one
different
time
flavor. Is it
that
better?
I used to think so, but I had some of the Star Wars mac and cheese recently that I tried side by side with just the regular elbow that wasn't quite as impressive. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
just wasn't.
Well, and
All right.
I have a girlfriend that shops in cute little stores, and she'll find noodles that are shaped like music notes, or
Yeah.
happy birthday cakes, or all kinds of things like that. So that you can put any sauce with it. It doesn't have to be mac and cheese.
Yeah.
But those are fun to get.
My sister was just on a trip over in Europe, and she was in Italy, and she actually bought some bicycle-shaped mac
Wow.
that
Yeah.
she's going to try, and I'm kind of interested to try it out as well. She brought me back some genuine Italian pasta that I'm interested in trying, and can't wait for.
So is this going to be like a butter and garlic type
Yep,
sauce?
yep.
Okay.
I'm boring.
Actually, that is what pasta's for. Is
I don't really
garlic
care
and
too much
butter.
for like the red meat sauce.
Yeah.
Funny side note, I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, and I was with my friend out in Montana, and his dad and stepmom, and it took all evening for them to get me to try their spaghetti sauce, because I've tried spaghetti sauce. I know I don't care too much for spaghetti sauce.
That
but
explains why when I brought it into you last summer, you're like, no thanks.
But on the flip side, they offhanded just made a comment, well, I bet we couldn't get him to try escargot. And right away I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it.
Sure.
Like, because that's something I haven't tried, and my palate is really, really strange.
And it's soaked in garlic and butter.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. We also put cheese on it. It was pretty tasty.
So you were okay with it? You
Yeah.
liked it?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked
Yeah.
it. I eat it again.
I ate it a lot when I was younger, but as I've gotten older and I started thinking about what I'm eating, I've sort of decided to pass.
Eh.
But if you want that, you'll just melt some butter and put some breadcrumbs in it, a
And
little
then-
bit of seasoning, and eat that.
Or put it over, eat mushrooms in garlic and butter.
All right. So when you were talking, tasted the Cracker Barrel sharp cheddar, which is not you can't make it in the microwave. You can reheat it in the microwave, but you can't make it. So I made the macaroni last night. Dana was kind enough when we were talking to warm up the macaroni and then squeeze the cheese onto it and mix it up. So this is just the regular sharp cheddar. You had the one with the bacon.
I have.
What do you think of this one?
I think this is really good.
I think
It's
this
very
is
good.
really good.
Yeah.
It tastes like a homemade mac and cheese.
Now, see, I've never actually had Cracker Barrel's mac and cheese at their restaurant.
I haven't either.
So I can't compare it directly to that. But this is really good mac and cheese.
It's really good. The only I'm trying to think what the difference might be, because my sister makes a really good macaroni and cheese she uses cream, she uses 5 different cheeses, so it's thicker.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people want to do like a little bit of crunch with some breadcrumbs on the top. So, I mean, that would add to this, but on its own, this is really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Kraft for a while did Kraft Home Styles, where it was kind of a bag of macaroni, and you would take and boil it and, cook it like normal, and then put it in like a casserole tray.
Sure.
Put it in the oven, put some breadcrumbs on top of it that came in there, bake it for about another 5 or 6 minutes, and it was great. That was my favorite that I've had for a long time. But
This
then
is
they
a
got
great
rid of it.
base. This is a great base that you could say, okay, I'm gonna
yeah.
make mac and cheese. I'm gonna use this, and then I'm gonna add some broccoli to it, or I'm gonna add some. No, not for you.
Nope.
Are you not an add-in kind of guy?
If it is green and it is not gummy, I don't eat it.
Green gummy
I
bears.
don't eat it.
How about mint ice cream? Can you
Mint
do that
ice cream's
one?
good.
Okay,
But if it's a vegetable, the 2 vegetables I eat are raw carrots and corn on the cob.
which are not green.
Nope.
No.
Okay.
You know, broccoli gets gummy if you let it sit for long enough.
Yeah, but it's not like a gummy bear or a gummy worm, sugar coated, sour candy coated, stuff
All
like
right.
that.
So if you were going to do an add-in to mac and cheese, would you do an add-in, and what would it be?
Bacon
Besides-
bits.
yeah.
But I would also be interested to try. I can't remember who I was talking to, but somebody mentioned about like a lobster mac and cheese.
Oh yes, there's
I think
some
that'd be
high-end
interesting
mac
to
and cheese
try.
in restaurants.
I think that'd be really interesting to try. I love seafood. I love lobster. I love crab. So it might be interesting to kind of put it in there. I was talking with Ken yesterday, and he said that he puts a little bit of peas and a little bit of tuna in his. And I know people have done tuna. My mom did it
Yes.
for years, still does. But I don't think I've ever had anybody do peas. I have friends that do ketchup, and I think that's strange.
in their mac and cheese.
In their mac and cheese.
That's strange.
Yep. But if they like it, they like it.
Exactly.
The peas is sort of a take on tuna noodle casserole because it's the traditional vegetable in tuna noodle.
I guess that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what he was doing is sort of his own quick version of that. Let me just put this in perspective for you, Mr. Ryan, because you're in your 20s and your metabolism is very fast. It's rabbit fast. So you tend to, and I asked you, would you eat this whole box?
I said yes.
And you said yes. So a box has about 4 servings at 310 calories a serving. So 1,200 calories.
Yeah.
But when you're 20, what?
2.
Yeah, your body can do that.
And
but
like
you
I
need to throw
mentioned-
something green in there, buddy.
Yeah.
Just to give your innards
Does peppermint tea count?
with a sprig of mint or
Yeah.
peppermint.
I
No, it
doubt
doesn't.
But yeah, my eating schedule is also very weird.
Yeah.
When I was in school this past semester, I would have class from about 9 to 9 or from about noon to 9, depending upon
Yeah.
the day. And a lot of times I'd wake up late and I wouldn't eat until 9
Yeah.
o'clock at night. And I'd have one box of the mac and cheese. So 1,200 calories for one meal in a day really isn't too bad. I think the normal suggested diet's 2,000 calories?
Well, especially for you seriously, as a growing young man. Yeah.
So
But the rest of that is yours.
awesome.
And the lid
I
is
will-
in there. So
I
you
will
can take
eat.
my makeshift lid of the
Sounds great.
the plexiglass holder off the top and put the actual lid back on it. And you've got food for tomorrow.
Sounds
or tonight.
awesome.
Probably for
Thank
lunch
you.
today.
Thank you. Yep.
Well, we want to know what you think about mac and cheese. So are you a boxed or homemade person? If you're boxed, which brand? Do you add in things? Or are you like our Peggy Sue, who doesn't like it at all?
I just find that weird.
I
really
came
do.
out of the womb not liking mac and cheese and loving fudgesicles. I mean, it was chocolate from the beginning and no mac and cheese.
Hey, fudgesicles are great, especially during the summertime like this.
Probably makes your brain smarter.
She also doesn't like popcorn.
Okay, I can kind of understand that because, again, Ryan's stories. I
Are you sure he's not
when
your
I
son?
was when I was young enough to see the VeggieTales movie Jonah in theaters, I ate a bucket of popcorn. Later that night, I got sick, and then when I was in high school over at my buddy Asher's house, I ate popcorn that had been sitting for a while, and we put like melted butter on it. It kind of got soggy, and then I got sick from that. So I stopped eating popcorn for quite a while. So I can kind of understand where you come from with.
But
not
you
liking
realize
popcorn.
it's not popcorn's fault that happened. The first time,
The first time I know it was
did
my
popcorn
fault.
jump into your mouth and force its way down your throat?
Maybe.
It did. And then the
No, it
second
didn't at
time,
all. No, I sat there and knowingly ate that entire bucket. But I was like 8 years old.
And it's hard to
sounded
stop
like a
'cause
great
it
idea.
tastes
Oh
good.
yeah, it did.
your mouth is saying, keep going because this tastes good. It takes a while for your stomach to actually
Catch
be
up.
heard. Yes.
Yeah. And I have times where I have that when I'm eating. Like I'll eat really quick because going from school into, well, I guess still being in school, in middle school and elementary school, high school, we're trained to eat quickly
Yes.
and then go to our next class. We don't have time to sit and talk with people really. I mean, we do, but not as much time as I
Yeah.
think is necessary to eat a full meal and feel full.
Or even to get out to go to recess.
Yeah.
You get more recess time if you wolf your
Burn
food
all
down.
those calories out.
Exactly. All right. Well, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. 260-745-9090. 260-745-9090. Email midmorninglive@wbcl.org and Facebook, too, as we're talking macaroni and cheese. Do you want to stay with us and chat with listeners,
Sure,
too? Because
I'd
I'm
love
sure
to.
that there will be stories abounding as you're inspired by what
Yeah,
other people
especially
are doing.
when I say the vegetables I eat, people are just like, I don't know how you're still alive. So I guess if you want to ream me for that one, go for it.
Well, no, we just are concerned. We want you to be healthy.
Yeah, my
You
dad
know?
has said for years, if you need to go on a no carb diet, you're going to die. And I'm a carbaholic, as my mom would say.
All right.
Well, and I just worry that, I don't want you to get scurvy. So those fruits and vegetables are important.
I don't want scurvy either.
Okay.
And there
but I'm
are
not
good
a pirate.
carbs. There are good carbs.
Yeah.
Carbs aren't the enemy. It's a matter of, what kind of carbs. So we just want we want your gut to be healthy. We want all the bacteria there to be fed well,
Yeah.
so that you can be healthy and happy and that your mind works. So your mind works really well,
Well, up until last night when I clonked my head at the playground.
which sounds very funny for a
Yep.
22-year-old guy to say, I hit my head at the playground last night.
I did indeed.
And he wasn't there with younger children. Let me just
Nope.
put that right
it was
out
all
there.
22-year-olds.
Which are sometimes, and I got to tell you, sometimes 60-year-old men
Yep.
are a lot like that too.
It was one of those, hey, y'all, watch this.
Yeah.
I was like, do you guys think I can do this? And before they had any time to go, no, you probably shouldn't. I was already doing it and falling and hitting my head. So
My daughter, who's the paramedic, says,
Oh, Ryan.
so many times the last thing that was said before they dialed 911 was, hey, y'all, watch this.
Yep. So, but I'm here. Hopefully I make it through the day.
Can we ask what you were doing? When
we
you
were just
said, hey,
hanging
do you
out.
think I can do this?
The best way to describe it, I was holding onto like 2 poles, and there was a gap between like the stairs that was going onto like the playground equipment and like a platform and then a lower platform. And I was going to try and swing myself across onto the mulch. And as I was doing so, I kind of cleared the first part, but my hands were a little bit sweaty. And so I slid, I fell back, clonked my head. And now my hand hurts, my elbows hurt, my whole upper body doesn't feel that great
Which is
today.
why Olympic athletes put powder on their hands when they do those bars so that they don't slip.
We didn't have powder out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, I think I can do this. I almost hit Asher in the face with my feet on the first time, so I kind of was psyched out, like not doing the greatest. And then
I hope your parents
slid
are
and
listening,
smacked
or
him.
friends of your parents are listening and
I actually
saying,
forgot to tell them.
and are calling them right now
I
saying,
meant
hey,
to
your
tell my
son's
mom.
on
I
the
was
air.
like, hey, I'm going to be on the air talking about how I injured myself last night. I tweeted it out later in the evening last night. And I half expected to get a reply from my mom, like calling me.
Well, that's what the
"Are you
archive is
okay?"
for.
Because she has notifications on, so whenever I tweet, she sees it. And it was at like 11 o'clock at night when I tweeted out. So she might have been asleep or just
She
was
thought
like,
you were
well,
in bed.
Oh, well, I should have been.
Let's go to the phones and talk first to Brad. Brad, good morning. Thanks for calling us. Your mac and cheese, boxed or homemade or both?
Normally boxed.
Does that mean that you won't eat homemade or you don't like it?
Oh, no. No, I've had homemade before. My mom used to make a real good homemade mac and cheese, but we haven't got to quite the knack of it yet, so we mainly say it was boxed.
Yes. And do you have a favorite brand?
I go between Kraft or the Horizon Organic.
Ooh, okay.
That's one we haven't tried on a taste test.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that you could, depending on how much money you've got in your checking account, go for the organic or go for the one that's a little more affordable. Yes. And that your palate says, I'm good either way.
Yeah, I've also tried the Cracker Barrel, and that was really good.
At the restaurant or from the box?
From the box.
And which one did you have?
The cheddar.
The sharp cheddar, because they have a white cheddar and
Jalapeno.
Havarti?
Some type.
Yeah,
do they? I didn't see that
thought
one.
they had some kind of jalapeno.
Wow. Well, I agree, Brad. It's really good.
Yes, it is. And what we like to do is I'll cook up some hamburger, brown it up, season it a little bit, and just at the end, stir that in, or take smoked sausage, slice it real thin, and cook that up beforehand, and then right at the end, add that in. It's really good.
So that becomes the main meal, the casserole. I think there's going to be a run on mac and cheese in stores today, and people are going to have it for dinner tonight. Yes.
I hope so.
Brad, thank you so much for calling us this morning.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Enjoy the summer.
Thank you.
Would you do that? Would you add
hamburger?
those things?
I don't care for beef. I like meat. Like I love chicken. I love other kinds of meats, but beef for me is just not something I care for.
Is it a texture thing?
It's partly texture, but the other part is the taste. Like I've tasted it a number of different ways, and I just don't care for it.
Have you tasted a filet cooked really well on a grill with seasoning? And
I have not.
okay, that might change your mind.
Maybe.
The different
steak
texture
is,
than ground beef.
Steak is one of those things that if I'm at a wedding reception or something and that's all they have, I can eat it, I guess. But like, I'm never going to go to
I'm
a
glad you
place
put
and go-
yourself out there and do that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
very kind of you.
I can never go to a restaurant and go, let's see, I'll take the steak. That's just not what I care for.
Let's talk to Jeremy, and then Peggy's going to share some of what you're posting on Facebook about mac and cheese this morning. Boxed or homemade? What about your kids? When JR was growing up, he would only eat boxed. We'd go to family gatherings, and there'd be this wonderful homemade stuff, and he just couldn't take it.
Yeah.
Now,
I
as a
prefer
grown-up,
boxed.
he loves homemade. He'll still do boxed, but he loves homemade.
I like homemade, but I got to say I do prefer boxed.
All right, let's ask Jeremy what he thinks. Jeremy, good morning. Thanks for calling us.
Hi, how are you doing?
We are very well. We like mac and cheese. We like talking about mac and cheese. What about you?
I enjoyed the mac and cheese conversation today. I do like mac and cheese.
Are you a boxed kind of guy, or do you prefer homemade? Will you eat both or only one?
I don't know that I've ever had homemade, to be honest with you.
Now, that's a surprise because when I moved here to Indiana, mac and cheese, deep dish mac and cheese is it's going to show up at weddings, it's at graduations, it's at potlucks, it's family reunions. So I see it everywhere.
Staple here.
Yeah.
I guess I just don't know the right people.
Well, maybe what you do, Jeremy, is there are so many different recipes online, is that you just, when you've got some free time on a weekend, go out and get what you need and make your mac and cheese and see what you think.
I was actually thinking about talking to my wife about doing something like that after listening to the conversation.
I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think you'll be quite happy, to be honest with you. It's one of those things that, we're talking about it, and it's really good tasting. It's really not all that great for you. It's high in fat. It's white flour. So you can make some adjustments by using some whole grain mac and cheese. It's macaroni, which can make a difference there. I wouldn't use any fat-free cheese. And even Dr. Ann says, don't do that. It tastes like wax.
Yeah.
It just is not good. So you can go with a lower fat cheese and still get great flavor. But I look at it this way. When I go to my sister's house and she's made her mac and cheese with 5 cheeses and some cream and some other stuff, I look at that as, this is a treat. I only get this, once every few months. I'm going to have a big scoop and I'm going to enjoy every single bite. And it's going to take me 30 minutes to eat it because I'm going to savor that.
Enjoy it.
So find a good recipe, Jeremy, make it, and I think you're going to love it.
Will do. I did want to tell you guys about a couple ways that my wife makes mac and cheese.
Oh, good, thanks.
We do, I know you guys talked about lobster before. I have not tried the lobster, but we do imitation crab sometimes in our mac and cheese.
Yeah.
And that is really good. But my wife's famous mac and cheese is she takes kidney beans and she'll drain them out, put them in the mac and cheese, and we sprinkle a packet of taco seasoning and mix it all together.
Ooh.
And that is pretty good.
And you've got the protein in it.
I'm going to try that. And Jeremy, do you bake that after you put the taco seasoning on? And do you mix it all together? Do you bake it then?
We do not. Normally, she just does it at the end. She'll make the mac and cheese, put it in a big bowl, and kind of mix it all together, and it's already hot.
Ooh.
Yeah, if you crunch up some tortilla chips in there, give it a little bit of texture to it, that would help, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, very good. Oh, thank you, Jeremy. That's a great idea.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. You enjoy your mac and cheese, and we're going to try your recipe. Well, your wife's recipe. Thank her for it.
Wonderful day.
All right, Jeremy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It is good to have that crunch.
Yeah.
You could put some carrots on the top of that for crunch.
You could. It might be an
I'm just teasing.
flavor.
I would not do that as much as I love the crunch.
You could add whatever you want, I guess, but that doesn't mean it's going to taste good.
But you're right. The tortilla chips. And when you just really smash down a handful, that's plenty.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not, it's not a lot, but it's enough to give that crunch on the top. 260-745-9090, 260-745-9090. Email midmorninglive@wbcl.org and Facebook as we're talking about mac and cheese. The difference between postings, Sarah got right to the point, homemade all the way. And then Allie's got this huge paragraph. So you've been reading these, Peggy Sue. What do you want to know? Or what do we want to know?
Well, and there's 2 Sarahs on here. Sarah Garwood says homemade. My mother-in-law, Barb Garwood, makes the best mac and cheese. And Barb Garwood is probably one of the best cooks ever. So that is true. This is one Allie was saying the best mac and cheese she's ever had was from a restaurant called the Twisted Rooster. It's a truffle mac and cheese with mushrooms.
Interesting.
But she also wanted to go back to your tips that you had given during the Pinterest. She said she would have loved to have put dirty shoes in a shower cap. Her and her husband had gone hiking in Puerto Rico for their honeymoon. And so they put the dirty hiking shoes back in their luggage. They didn't want to mess it up with their clothes. So they put it inside a bag. Let's see. Put them in the trash bag. When they got home, they put the trash bag next to the hose outside because she was going to hose them off later on. Well, the maintenance team came by, picked them up along with the garbage, and they were never to be seen again. She said what was so upsetting about this was that those hiking shoes were the first gift my husband ever got for me. It was our first date. going out and buying hiking shoes and then hiking together. It was a sad loss. She said a $1 shower cap would have saved the $200 hiking boots.
Wow.
So
Oh,
what a
man.
great story. Also, Adrian says, listening right now, you're making me really hungry. My hubby has a family recipe that is so delicious and healthy. Everyone looks forward to it, and it shows up at every family gathering.
Okay, where's the rest of that? She needed to put the recipe up there.
Yeah, you know what?
Adrian,
If you want
Or
to put
bring
that
it
up
in.
there, we will love it.
we'd
bring it in
love
for
that
share.
recipe. Yes.
And then Jen says mac and cheese is a food group in our home. And I would say I think it's a food group in the Midwest.
Yes.
She says my 15-year-old son who has autism will eat mac and cheese even if he turns everything else down. When my daughter Hannah had her wisdom teeth pulled and was still in the anesthesia days, her first question to the doctor was, "Can I have mac and cheese?" And you know what? It's a comfort food.
Yes.
You know, it's a comfort food. So she said the best I've had in Fort Wayne is at Bagger Dave's on DuPont.
Oh, wow.
I've heard
there's-
of Bagger Dave's,
Yeah.
but I've never been there.
Well, it looks like you're going to have to put it on your
I
list.
will.
They do like a high-end hamburger, so it makes sense that they would do mac and cheese
A
as
high-end mac and cheese.
as a side dish.
On that same note, Granite City has a good
Oh.
high-end mac and cheese.
Really?
Yeah,
I wouldn't know.
it's got bacon in there.
nice.
But I think they call it their adult bach mac and cheese. It's more of like a white cheddar.
Okay.
But it is very tasty.
Do you like mushrooms? Because people that have
I
texture
don't care
issues
too much
often
for
don't like them.
mushrooms. Yeah, not really.
So if for you, you might not want the mushrooms in the mac and cheese, but you could get that same flavor by adding just a little bit of the truffle oil.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really like that flavor, you can do that. Let's go to the phones. We're going to talk to Robin and then Daryl and Dancing Dan. Mac and cheese is our topic, boxed or homemade. If it's boxed, which is your brand of choice? Are you a purist, or will you add some things to your mac and cheese, or will you join the Peggy Sue Club, which our Dana has deemed un-American? It's the people who do not like mac and cheese. But we will still let you be our friends. We promise. Robin,
guess.
good morning. Yes, we guess.
Good morning.
So what about you for mac and cheese?
Well, I'm definitely boxed because I don't have time to make homemade.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like homemade. My sister makes the best homemade mac and cheese in a crock pot. And usually it's just elbow mac and cheese and probably a whole box of Velveeta and some milk.
And does she put the mac in uncooked, or does she cook it first?
Uncooked.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes, but my tip one time not long ago, I ran into the no milk issue, and was looking around in the fridge, and I found whipped cream in a can,
Interesting.
and so I used the whipped cream out of the can into the mac and cheese, and it was a little bit sweeter than normal, but it
Yeah.
tasted pretty good.
Yeah, because it would have the sugar aspect to it. I wonder, like, sour cream or even cream cheese could be a substitute.
Right, I'm sure. So anything like that.
Or even whipped cream that didn't happen to have the sugar in it, but we don't normally have that sitting in our refrigerator.
And could
Right.
you offset the sweet with just a little pinch of salt? Would that have done anything for the flavor? But when, desperate times call for desperate measures.
It's better than water.
You're right. If you've already made it, you gotta find something.
Yeah.
Got to.
Were you out in the wilderness, not anywhere near a neighbor that you could go over and say, hey, could I just have a quarter cup of milk? A quarter cup, that's all I need.
That would have been my next option.
I have done that before. I don't know why it is. When I was growing up, my mother would send us to, she had a couple of neighbors that were her go-to for, hey, I need sugar or I need this, and she would send us down to get it. And I was always embarrassed to do that. And these were good family friends, but, who knows why you're embarrassed about things as a kid. But as an adult, I will get in my car and drive to the store before I'll go to my neighbors, which is absolutely crazy.
It's weird.
Why is that?
I think it's just times changing. People want to be a little bit more private.
I don't know.
see anybody out in the neighborhood anymore walking dogs, really. I was driving with Asher back here through our neighborhood, and we waved at someone. The other person didn't wave back. I'm like, why don't people do that anymore?
That's just common courtesy.
Yeah.
Though I was making a pie last summer, and I needed an egg, and I said, "Okay, I'm in the middle. I'm not getting in my car." And I walked over to Steve's house and said, "Could I? I'm not going to ask if I can borrow an egg because I'm not bringing it back.
That's right.
But could I have an egg?" And it was just so sweet. They were happy to do it, and then I brought them pie later, and they were really happy that they had done that. So
Now they show up each week with an egg.
do you need an egg?
Yeah, have an egg. Hey, Martha has actually joined my club. So there's all of you guys that are liking mac and cheese, but she says she doesn't dislike it, but not a fan.
Yes.
Sounds like me with a steak.
Robin, thank you for calling us. We're loving hearing from all of you this morning about your mac and cheese and what you like and what you don't like.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Have a great
it. Bye-bye. Back to the phones we go. We're going to talk to Daryl this morning. Hi, Daryl. Or is it Darryl?
Hello. This is Daryl.
Daryl.
Tucker Daryl.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Doing great.
Excellent. Well, your favorite kind of mac and cheese?
My favorite, my mom makes it best, and I remember grating the cheese for her, but what else went into it, I can't remember. So I rely on the Velveeta 2-pound cube.
Yes.
You know, cut a chunk of that, cut it up into mini chunks, usually quarter cup of milk,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll put usually garlic powder and black pepper in there. Nuke that up, get it all nice and creamy, and then my latest trick I've been doing is like 2 or 3 packets of the Fire from Taco Bell, their sauces.
Yes.
Squeeze those in there, and then usually 2 to 3 cups of macaroni boiled up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll do it that way. But if I'm in a pinch, and I always have on spare the boxes, and I don't like the shells in cheese. Those shells just tend to get a little too, like gaggy for me. They get like
They hold
slimy.
too much.
Right, exactly. So if macaroni and cheese isn't on sale, I'll buy the shells and cheese and just throw the shells out and substitute my own macaroni noodles.
Because you just want the cheese.
Well, they and the trick with those cheeses, while you're boiling your noodles, throw the packet of foil pouch packet in there and get that all nice and runny. That way you don't. It's not a big gob of cheese
Mixes
going on
better.
top of it. Yep.
That's a good idea.
Yes, indeed. And I like the idea of the fire sauce, the taco sauce, because that
Yeah.
little bit of kick would be nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. You could do that with Tabasco too, I suppose. But yeah, if you've got those extra packets, why not use them?
Now that sounds like one I'd be willing to try.
All right, good. One more. The fact that he's even willing, wow, that's huge. Thank you so much for calling us.
Right. And my other trick, usually I'll stop on my way home if I know I don't have any milk, and I'll buy one of them small little True Moo. It's not even a
Oh,
pint.
yes.
Buy one of them, and usually I leave it for another week and go, I'll make mac and cheese next week. And if that doesn't happen and it starts to turn,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I get out the Jell-O, not the Jell-O, the pudding,
Oh,
Jell-O
yeah.
pudding
Yes.
powder,
Yeah.
and I'll mix that in there, and you don't taste the sourness. It hasn't turned totally yet.
Interesting.
And this is where our non-mac person would probably gobble up that chocolate pudding then.
Wow.
Huh.
You are a really weird food scientist there.
I'm frugal. But through this discussion this morning, I want to get on the internet now and go Gouda cheese mac
Oh,
and cheese.
yeah.
Oh.
That would be tasty.
Well, and also for your milk that's about to turn, you can put that in the freezer and then pull it out another time when you're ready for your mac and cheese.
This is true.
Yes, because milk freezes. I learned that from
Right.
Peggy Sue.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for calling.
my pleasure.
Our pleasure. Thank you. We're going to squeeze in our friend Dancing Dan, and that'll do it this morning. Though I just noticed.
What are we noticing?
Well, we have 3 underwriters, but I was using our sheet to be a lid for my mac and cheese so it wouldn't get cold. And so
it's a little steamy, but you're going to read it.
It's a little steamy. So I need to say thank you. WBCL shares God's comfort and hope thanks to the area businesses that team with you to support us, like Moose Lake Christian Craft Village north of Fort Wayne in Layado, an 1800s village providing lake activities, Amish General Store, restaurant, and more. They were reviewed in last night's New Sentinel, the restaurant was, and got great raves about their biscuits and their sweet potato fries and others.
Do you think they serve mac and cheese?
I don't know.
I'll have to
I don't
check it
know.
out.
But you can find out more about our business partners on our business partners page at WBCL.org. Dancing Dan, I'm so sorry we're not going to get to you because the theme is rolling, but thank you all for listening today and for being a part of our conversation about mac and cheese. Tomorrow we've got this huge giveaway of books, so join us for that. And that'll be fun that you can win something. It's a great time to read. Summer is, but also year-round, so check that out tomorrow. And then on Friday, Dr. John Trent is talking about the blessing, a biblical concept, and it's for men to do with their wives and their kids, and it's huge. So join in that conversation on Friday. Thanks for listening today. Stay tuned. Ken Church is next on Family Friendly and Commercial Free WBCL.